All right, guys, welcome back. In the last video, I did bunch of small repairs on the Biturbo, uh, odd ends, little things that I was trying to troubleshoot, especially when the electrical with the horns. Um, this video is going to be kind of a continuation. I didn't get to everything last time. So I'm gonna kind of go through what I'm gonna be working on this video and kind of what has happened since the last video as far as troubleshooting the fuse box. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do in this video is gonna be replace these crankcase breathers. In the OEM car, these are plumbed into the airbox, the factory airbox, but in this car, obviously they are going to be just out into the elements. In any case, these are pretty old. They are universal ones with the plastic nipple, and you could see they must, I didn't do this, by the way. I think it might have been one of the mechanics that just hot melted it to keep it together, but I don't even know if it's filtering anything. But I'm gonna replace this to make sure I don't get any debris inside the cam boxes. And I got these online, and these seem to have a metal nipple, which seems to be the right size, about 1 inch diameter. So I'm just going to replace these real quick before we move on to anything else. So I just want to show you guys this. So the one on the driver's side had like water condensation. So this is oil mixed with water. Now the cam box, I took a peek inside. There's the oil is nice and it doesn't have this milky stuff to it. So I think this is just like condensation that built up, which I think is an indication that that filter, even though it looked like it was the one in best condition, was not doing its job and allowing humidity to come through. It could also have been that the car was in the rain and somehow water got onto this filter. That's a possibility too. So I'm just going to clean this up and get the new filter on there. Okay, we got the little crankcase filters installed. These actually are, this is not like a real K&N where you oil the cotton element. This is stuffed with a piece of foam inside, so it's not the greatest quality, but I think this is going to be just a temporary fix. I think what I'm going to end up doing is like plumbing these two together and then have some sort of oil catch can somewhere. I don't know if I'm gonna have a lot of room for that, but I think that's gonna be the plan down the line, because I'm not comfortable with finding that condensation in there. I'm wondering, because that filter was damaged, it just allowed the condensation to breathe. That's why there was none, whereas this one, it was inside the tube. But I did open this up and there was nothing like that in the oil. The oil was nice and clear. So in any case, we're gonna push this out of the garage now, or start it and move it out of the garage. What I want to do is, I finally got my wheel repair done. So I'm gonna put this back on the car. That is one of the front wheels on the passenger side. And then what I'm gonna do is, I spoke to the guys at Biturbo, Mauricio, and he's been very helpful to try to troubleshoot the issue with the horn. But what I'm gonna do is, before I waste his time, I'm gonna put the original fuse box back on the car. If I still have the issue, then I know the Biturbo is not the culprit. It must be some bad wiring somewhere. But I will have to check these fuses because I see a lot of them are popped. So it's a pain in the butt, but it has to be done to troubleshoot, to make sure that I don't, I'm not blaming the Biturbo box for the issue when it's really the car itself. So let's get this guy out of the garage and tackle those two things. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect all the plugs on the fuse box and on this side and on the inside, and switch it out for the original one and see if that issue with the horn persists, and then I'll know the issue is not with the Biturbo box. Okay guys, so I actually almost did something really dumb. Like I said before, I was gonna remove all the remove the Biturbo box and pop in the original fuse box to see if that resolved the issue with the air horn always having constant 12 volts once you turn the key in the ignition. And then I started thinking back. I think I spoke about hoping that the Biturbo box will resolve the issue, so I'm pretty sure I had the issue before. So I went back and watched my own video, and sure enough, that was one of the things I was hoping the Biturbo box would resolve. So that means that me wasting time switching back to the old fuse box and stuff is just a waste of time. The old box had the same issue. So it's not the Biturbo box that's giving me power for the air horn through that fuel pump. So what I'm thinking is going on, I got this schematic. So this is a pin-out schematic, and it basically it's basically designed for you to test your fuse box, right? But here's basically the simple version of it. This is supposed to be your air horn fuse, right? It gets its voltage from, that's the main. By the way, this is the cabin side of the fuse box. So this relay here is what clicks on when you hit the switch for the air horn. It's relay number 44. So power in comes from the 30 terminal, and power out is 87, and then 85 is the switch, comes from the switch, and then it's fused through here. But and then 86 is the ground. But that 87 pin on that relay, so that's the power going out to the opposite side of the fuse box, to the engine side, is pin 18 on terminal C24, which is, I shouldn't call it terminal, I guess it's the plug. So C24 is the large plug, and terminal 18 here, so I wrote this up, relay 44 pin 87. So that's where the power out or power source to the actual air horn should come out of, right? Pin 18. So that is the fifth one from the right. When you look at the actual connector, now I want to make sure I don't have this upside down, so let me just double check before. Okay, so when I look at the actual connector, I just have to stop to double check that these barbs here face up, and they do face up. They're supposed to face up. I want to make sure I wasn't looking at this upside down. But when I look at it, the air horn here, what I have plugged to the air horn, it is the fourth one over on the left, which is terminal 20. It should be the fifth one from the right, terminal 18. And if you look at the fifth one from the right, I don't have anything in there. So I'm wondering if because this is one of the wires I resoldered, I'm wondering if I connected it on the wrong end on the switch, on the plug I mean. So I'm gonna see if I could pop out this terminal and insert it on this side here, and then take a voltage measurement to see if it works with the switch. Okay, so I got I switched that terminal, like I said, from 20 to 18. And now I am going to connect my voltmeter here. 12 volts DC. I'm going to connect ground. And I'm gonna connect this, and I'm gonna turn on the ignition. I gotta reconnect the battery, but I'm gonna turn on the ignition and test if first of all, if I just have voltage when I press the horn button, and then the next step would be to actually connect the air horn and test it out. All right, guys. So it wasn't working, but then I realized I had the relay 44 removed from the fuse box. But now, if I could zoom in here. So if you watch that, when I press the horn button, it gives me about 12.8 volts. So I'm hoping that that was it. It was just the terminal was in the wrong spot. As a matter of fact, let me just turn off the ignition. As a matter of fact, when I was looking here, if I look at the where I did have it connected, which was terminal 20, I had that the horn connected to that terminal on the engine side. If I look at the pinout, that terminal 20 actually goes to fuse 2, which is the fuel pump fuse. So that explains why the fuel pump fuse is what was powering the horn. So I'm gonna just connect the air horn and test it out, see if that did the trick. All right, so just gonna connect the air horn. I don't think with these it matters what's positive, what's negative. Just gonna place that there, and hopefully you'll have to cover your ears. Awesome. All right, guys, so I guess that was an issue of my own making. Thankfully, I just kind of went back and retraced my steps, and this schematic really helped me, and I got it figured out now, so I could connect these air horns at some point. I still have to figure out the cooler for the power steering fluid, because I haven't figured that out yet. I bought some stock aluminum pieces to create some brackets and stuff, but the weather's been so cold that I really haven't gotten to it. Today it's actually a pretty warm day, but in any case, I think next I'm just gonna get the wheel on, take off the original there, and then I'm gonna try to resolve the issue with the coolant leak that's coming up through the head studs right there. You see that blue liquid that's pooling? I keep finding antifreeze on the floor. I put this piece of cardboard there to catch it, and it's coolant that's coming out of the engine. I'm assuming it's through those head studs. It's a common issue with Biturbos, and it always seems to be on the side, on the driver's side. But the solution is actually to just remove the nut and put some sealant and retorque it, and you do one at a time. I have pooling on 2 of them. I don't know if you could see. That one is not as bad as this one, but I'm thinking somehow that's running down the back of the engine, and that's why I'm getting antifreeze on the floor. But so I don't know if I'm going to tackle that today, but it will be next on the list. Okay, we got the wheels torqued, switched out the front one. So this, when I went for my test drive, I don't know if I mentioned in the video, but a guy on a dirt bike kind of crossed my path while I was turning into my own driveway, and to avoid him I hit the sidewalk and bent this wheel. So I had just got it repaired, got it back on the car, put the center caps back on, which I don't think you guys ever saw it with the center caps on. But these are Compomotive Motorsport wheels. They're made in England. I got these years and years ago. It's funny because they cost about $2,500 back then, which was a lot of money for wheels. And to get them all refinished and powder coated cost almost $1,000. It was like 800 and change. I was able to find the original decals on eBay. They came from England, and yeah, I mean, I think they fit the car really well because they're period wheels. They're not like wheels from like a Fiat 500, which I see a lot of people with them on 17-inch. These are staggered 16-inch wheels, 225 in the rear, 205 in the front. All right. Oh, one more thing. The last time I test drove this thing, the car felt really squirrely. I didn't know if it was because the tires were cold or I just got spoiled driving modern cars, but I found out this rear wheel, all of the bolts were loose. So I was actually lucky that I didn't lose a wheel while I was driving. But that could explain why it felt so squirrely on the road. All right, so again, I'm gonna tackle that head bolt leak, but I don't want to start the car after I do it. So I want to do that inside the garage because I want to make sure the gasket material that I'm gonna use dries before I start the car and have fluid or coolant circulate through the engine. So that'll be next on the list of repairs, and hopefully that'll get us one step closer to having this car ready for the road. Guys, thank you again for watching. Hope to see you guys soon.